Why are there not more people talking about what it really means to travel the world while black? So, you've got your passport ready, your bags are almost packed, and you're scrolling through Instagram looking at all these amazing places to visit. You see the Eiffel Tower, the Great Wall, the Colosseum. It looks incredible, right? And it is. But here's the thing, and it's something we don't always talk about. Traveling while black can be, well, let's just say it comes with its own unique set of TripAdvisor reviews that you won't find on the app. It's a different kind of calculus. You're not just thinking about the exchange rate or if you packed enough socks. You're thinking, how will I be seen? How will I be treated? It's a conversation that can feel heavy, I know, but it's also a necessary one. Because travel should be about freedom, about discovery, about making connections. It shouldn't be about bracing yourself for stares or microaggressions or worse. And look, this isn't about scaring anyone or painting entire countries with a single negative brush. The world is full of wonderful people everywhere. But knowledge is power, right? Knowing what to expect, where to be cautious, and understanding the social climate of a place, that's just smart travel. It's like checking the weather before you go. You wouldn't leave for a trip to Iceland without a jacket. So why would you travel without being aware of the social forecast? Today, we're going to talk about that forecast. We're going to look at 10 countries where, based on recent reports, the social climate for black travelers in 2025 might be a bit turbulent. This isn't a never go here list. Think of it more as a go with your eyes wide open guide. We're going to break down the why, the social issues, the political shifts, the on-the-ground reports from other black travelers. The goal here is to empower you, to give you the information you need to make the best decisions for your safety, your peace of mind, and your adventure. Because ultimately, the world is yours to explore and you deserve to do it safely and with joy. Let's get into it. Alright, let's start with the big one, Russia. Now, Russia is a country of immense history, incredible art, and, very, very strong vodka. It's vast and complex. But for black travelers, especially as we look at 2025, it's become a place where you have to be extremely careful. Recent reports, and I'm talking about a growing number of them, point to a significant increase in racial discrimination. It's not subtle stuff either. We're talking about high-profile incidents that make international news, stories of African students facing harassment, black tourists being openly stared at or denied service, and a general atmosphere that can feel incredibly hostile. It's a chilling reality in a country that is literally already very cold. The problem seems to be getting worse, not better. The political climate has fostered a sort of intense nationalism that often leaves little room for outsiders, especially those who look different. And while the government might not officially endorse this, the reality on the streets can be a different story. Police can be unhelpful. Or worse, part of the problem with racial profiling. So, while you might be drawn by the allure of the Kremlin or the beauty of St. Petersburg's canals, it's crucial to weigh that against the very real risk of encountering aggressive racism. It's a place where you might spend more time looking over your shoulder than looking at the sights. Next up we have China, a global superpower and economic giant with thousands of years of history. Visiting the Great Wall or the Terracotta Army is on a lot of bucket lists. But here's the thing, China's relationship with blackness is complicated, to put it mildly. Despite its global presence, there are persistent and well-documented issues with racism and xenophobia, and black people often find themselves on the receiving end. You might have seen some of this online, the infamous museum exhibit comparing black people to animals, or the TV skits featuring Chinese actors in blackface. And these aren't just isolated incidents, they reflect a deeper, more systemic issue. For black residents and visitors, this can manifest in very real, very uncomfortable ways. People report being stared at constantly, having their picture taken without permission, or being denied entry to bars and restaurants. There's a pervasive sense of being othered, of being treated like a curiosity rather than a person. During the pandemic, this got even worse, with reports of black people being evicted from their homes and barred from hotels over unfounded fears. So while China offers an incredible journey through history and culture, it's also a place where you may have to navigate a wall of prejudice that's just as imposing as the one you came to see. Now this one is tough, because Ukraine is a nation that has captured the world's sympathy and support. They are fighting for their very existence, and the resilience of the Ukrainian people is nothing short of heroic. However, we have to be honest about the experiences of black people within that crisis. When the full-scale invasion began, heartbreaking stories started to emerge. We saw videos and read reports of African students and other black residents being blocked from boarding trains and buses, being told to wait while real Ukrainians were evacuated first. It was a shocking and painful reminder that even in the midst of a shared catastrophe, racism finds a way to surface. These incidents of racial profiling and in some cases violence weren't happening in a vacuum. They highlighted a pre-existing problem. Even before the war, black people in Ukraine reported facing discrimination. With the country now flooded with weapons and under immense stress, the situation is even more precarious. The focus is rightly on national survival, but that means issues of racial equality and safety for minorities are not a priority. For a black traveler, venturing into a country in the midst of a brutal conflict is already a huge risk. But adding the documented layer of racial bias makes Ukraine an exceptionally challenging and potentially dangerous destination right now. India. It's a place that, honestly, assaults the senses in the best way possible. The colors, the sounds, the smells, the incredible food. It's a subcontinent of over 1 billion people with this dizzying array of cultures and religions, but, within all that diversity, there's a deeply ingrained social hierarchy, and that definitely includes colorism. This preference for lighter skin is everywhere, from the Bollywood film industry to the matrimonial ads in the paper. And well, this bias can easily morph into outright racism against black people. Many Africans, especially students and business people living in India, have shared stories of discrimination that are honestly hard to ignore. These aren't just hurt feelings, we're talking about serious incidents. There have been reports of mob violence against African nationals in major cities like Delhi, often fueled by racist stereotypes and accusations. Black travelers report being overcharged by taxis, denied housing, and subjected to constant intrusive staring and derogatory comments. The term Kalu, a pejorative for a dark-skinned person, can be thrown around so casually. So while you might be enchanted by the Taj Mahal or the spiritual energy of Varanasi, you also have to be prepared for a society where the color of your skin can, unfortunately, dictate how you're treated in a very direct and negative way. Ah, Italy. The land of Pasta Vespa's Renaissance art and La Dolce Vita, the sweet life. It's a dream destination for so many people, but for black travelers, that dream can sometimes turn sour. In recent years, Italy has been grappling with a very public and honestly very ugly problem with racism, and it's not just hiding in the shadows, it's right there in the open, especially in the world of football, which is kind of like a religion there. Black players are routinely subjected to monkey chants and racist abuse from the stands, and, the authorities often seem unwilling or unable to stop it. This isn't just about sports. It's a window into a wider societal problem. That attitude spills out from the stadiums and into the streets. Black visitors and residents have reported everything from being denied service in shops to being verbally harassed in public squares. The rise of far-right politics has emboldened people who hold racist views, making them feel it's totally acceptable to express them openly. You could be walking near the beautiful Colosseum in Rome or the canals of Venice, and be confronted with a level of hostility that just completely shatters the romantic image. So while the food might be sweet, the welcome for black people can be bitterly disappointing, making Italy a place to approach with caution. Greece, the cradle of Western civilization. You go there expecting to walk in the footsteps of philosophers and gods, to see the Acropolis, to relax on stunning islands with crystal-clear water. It's a place absolutely steeped in history. But unfortunately, it's also a country dealing with some very modern problems. The severe economic hardship of the last decade, combined with the refugee crisis, has fueled a rise in nationalism and xenophobia. And honestly, when that happens, people who look different often become scapegoats. The far-right party, Golden Dawn, may have been declared a criminal organization, but the sentiment that powered it hasn't just disappeared. For black travelers, this can translate into an uncomfortable and sometimes hostile environment. There have been numerous reports of racial abuse, particularly in Athens. People talk about being treated with suspicion, followed in shops, or being the target of racist slurs. On the islands, which can feel like a paradise, the experience might be better, but the underlying tension in the country is, well, pretty palpable. It's a strange and sad irony that in the very place where the concept of democracy was born, the ideals of equality and acceptance can feel like they're in short supply for Black visitors. The beauty of the ruins is undeniable, but the social fabric can feel worryingly frayed. So Turkey is a fascinating country, literally at the crossroads of Europe and Asia. Istanbul is honestly one of the world's great cities, with its stunning mosques, bustling bazaars, and incredible history. But just as it sits between two continents, it also seems to be caught between a welcoming tourist culture and a rising tide of discrimination. Many Black travelers have reported that Turkey is a place where they've felt the sting of racial profiling and prejudice more acutely than almost anywhere else. It's a constant, draining experience for many. The staring is often the first thing people mention. And it's not just curious glances, it's described as intense, unrelenting, and deeply uncomfortable. Beyond that, there are frequent reports of being followed by security in shops, being unfairly targeted by police, and facing discrimination in daily interactions. There's a particular prejudice against African migrants that can easily spill over to affect Black tourists. While many Turkish people are warm and hospitable, the prevalence of these negative experiences is just too high to ignore. You might go for the kebabs and the history, but you might leave with a sour taste from the racism you encountered. Poland is a country with a tragic and resilient history. Cities like Krakow and Warsaw have been beautifully rebuilt and are full of stories. It's also become a popular, affordable travel destination in Europe. However, in recent years, Poland has seen a significant political and social shift to the right. This has been accompanied by a surge in nationalist and anti-immigrant rhetoric, which has created an environment that is not just unwelcoming, but can feel actively hostile to people of color. The country is one of the least diverse in Europe, and for many Poles, a Black person is still a complete novelty and a target for their prejudice. This lack of diversity means that as a Black person, you will stand out dramatically, and that attention is not always positive. Black travelers have reported being met with everything from overt racism and slurs to a more subtle but equally isolating sense of exclusion. There have been incidents of racially motivated violence, and the general public discourse often normalizes xenophobia. While you will, of course, meet kind and open-minded Poles, the overarching social and political climate is a major concern. It's a place where you might feel like you've stepped back in time and not in the charming historical way. The Czech Republic, and especially its capital Prague, looks like it was pulled straight out of a fairy tale. The Charles Bridge, the astronomical clock, the stunning castle overlooking the city, it's undeniably beautiful. But behind that picturesque facade, many Black visitors find a reality that is far from a fairy tale. Similar to its neighbor Poland, the Czech Republic is a largely homogeneous society where diversity is not always celebrated. Racially motivated incidents, while perhaps not as widely publicized as in other countries, are a serious issue. The Roma people have long been the primary targets of racism in the country, but that intolerance is often extended to other people of color, including Black visitors. The experience can be one of feeling invisible and hyper-visible at the same time. You might be ignored by service staff, but intensely stared at on the metro. There have been reports of verbal abuse and even physical altercations, particularly outside of the main tourist bubble of Prague. It's a place where the stunning architecture can feel cold and unwelcoming because of the social atmosphere, making it a challenging destination for Black people seeking a relaxed and inclusive holiday. And finally, we come to Hungary. Budapest is a magnificent city, straddling the Danube River, famous for its thermal baths and grand architecture. But Hungary's political climate under its current leadership has become one of the most openly anti-immigrant and nationalist in all of Europe. The government has spent years promoting a message of ethnic purity and railing against outsiders, creating a social atmosphere that is deeply toxic for anyone who doesn't fit the mold of a traditional Hungarian. This isn't subtle political code, it's loud and clear. This official rhetoric has a direct impact on the streets. Black travelers and residents report a level of hostility that can be shocking. The government's anti-migration billboards are a common sight, fostering a culture of suspicion and fear towards foreigners, especially those of color. This can lead to overt discrimination, verbal harassment, and a general feeling of being unsafe. While Budapest's beauty is undeniable, it's hard to enjoy a thermal bath when you're worried about the political temperature outside. The country's leadership has actively cultivated a less welcoming atmosphere, and for Black travelers, that's a risk that's impossible to ignore. So, there you have it. A look at 10 countries where the journey for a black person might come with a bit more turbulence than you signed up for. And look, I know this can feel disheartening. It's like you're finally ready to see the world, and the world puts up a sign that says, some restrictions may apply. It's frustrating. But I want to be clear, this isn't a do not travel list, it's a no before you go list. People have amazing life-changing trips to these countries every single day, but they often go prepared, with their eyes open, connected with local communities or expat groups who can help them navigate. The point of this conversation isn't to build new walls, it's to give you the tools to climb over the ones that already exist. It's about sharing information, sharing experiences, and building a community of savvy black travelers who look out for each other. The world is a massive, beautiful, complicated place. It's full of breathtaking landscapes and even more breathtaking kindness. It's also full of ignorance and prejudice. Both things can be true at the same time. Our job as travelers is to seek out the beauty while being smart enough to protect ourselves from the ugliness. So, keep dreaming about that trip. Keep saving, keep planning. But add one more thing to your checklist, right next to buy travel insurance and learn to say hello in the local language. Check the social climate. Do your research, read blogs from other black travelers, and understand the context of where you're going. Your safety and your peace of mind are the most valuable things you can pack. Travel far, travel wide, but most importantly, travel safe. Thanks for watching. New videos weekly to help you travel smarter. Tap the bio link for my travel gear kit. Like, share and subscribe for more adventures.